morning. My name is Vahid Chitsaz, part of the Elite Mastermind group. This morning we have a very, very amazing guest that's going to be joining us, Miss Natalia. Natalia, thank you for taking this time this morning. What I'm going to do is, Natalia, we got connected, I think like less than a month ago on our Instagram, and you brought up a couple of good information regarding Thinkandgrowrich, and you have used that in your past. So what I want to do is we're going to do a few parts to this video. First, what I want to do is I want to talk about you, your career and what you've done in the past. Then we're going to go into a little bit more in depth of questions of Thinkandgrowrich and how you utilized to do betterment for yourself and entrepreneurship. And maybe on the third segment, you could share with us how other entrepreneurs could, what would your advice be for them? So let's start with your career. What is it that you do currently? What is your experience in what you have done in the past?
Well, thank you so much for having me, first of all,
Sure.
and I'm very glad to be here. So that's not a very quick and simple answer because my career has evolved as the time went on. I started off, being in the student University of Maryland, just focusing. My 2 degrees was finance and international business, which I strove to get through after car accident, basically, that I had no chance of surviving, and doctors gave me 0 chance of walking again. So I was paralyzed.
Which was a crazy story.
That is a crazy story.
So we got to touch up on that.
But,
so it was a car accident, somebody was driving, and then you woke up in the hospital.
Yeah, it actually happened to be Halloween night.
Halloween night?
Yeah.
Wow, and how old were you at that time?
I just turned 17, so just like 10 days after my 17th birthday.
Wow.
And I didn't want to go there. My friend dragged me out. So next thing I know, I wake up and I can't really feel anything. So I was completely paralyzed from the waist down. No sensation, no organ function,
Wow.
nothing at all. And I lost so much blood in the surgery that doctor said that basically if I survive past 3 days, that'll be a miracle, but I have absolutely 0 chance to ever walk again.
Wow.
And look at me now.
So now you're 21 years old, so this was 4 years ago?
Yeah, but honestly, I wouldn't take anything back. I'm actually very happy because every single age takes you, experience take you to be who you are. And you can't say "I regrets." One of my policies and rules in my life is no regrets. We all make mistakes, and it's up to us to learn from the mistakes or dwell upon them. So dwelling is not what I do.
Good. So go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah.
That story was so shocking. We need to
Thank
do a
you.
video just as specific on, because I don't know what it is, but sometimes individuals, when they go through accidents like that, because yesterday I was interviewing another gentleman, another coach, and he went through the same thing. And you take that and you really, it changes the course of your life. It changes a lot of other people's lives too. So I can only imagine what went through your mind when the doctors told you only have 3 days. Like I wouldn't know how to deal with that. That's like something that I'm like, what would I say? How would I react? Because there's so much things at 17. There's so many goals, so many dreams, so many things you want to do, and they take that away in 1 second. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. But also, if not for that particular accident, if you look at the stories of so many successful people in life, almost all of them did not, just had a beautiful life, beautiful everything, and they just went completely up with no downstairs. I don't know anybody, maybe you do, I don't know. So.
Everybody goes through ups and downs, and some of the ups are really good and some of the downs are really bad, but it's that moment, it's how they react to it that I believe differentiates them between normal people.
Yeah.
Because they go through it and they fight through it and they get to, and they use that to catalyst and they use that as an enzyme to really excel in business and life.
Yeah.
So so you got your degrees. Now walk us through your career. What else have you done?
I was supposed to work for American Express Financial Advisors after I graduated from college. One, out of 300 people they hired to it, it was me. Then, but to get over the accident, I had an opportunity to be part of the one of the top beauty contests in the world. So for me, it was like, well, I already have my job offer. I'm already admitted to MBA program out of college. I'm doing the internship in U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Why don't I just try and go actually do it and mentally overcome it?
But before that, were you ever thinking about becoming a model?
Oh,
or
no, gosh, I was stopped in the street all the time, and I was like, no, thank you, I'm not interested.
Really? So you rejected all the offers?
Yes, absolutely. The only reason I went to that, because for me, if I could walk that stage with knowing there's thousands. Basically, there's 200,000 contestants on the ground level to compete in the finals. And God brought me to the finals because Miss Russia couldn't get a visa.
Miss Russia couldn't get a visa.
So talking about, just power of mind and talking about law of attraction, and Napoleon Hill is definitely the father of the law of attraction. I was so focused on overcoming my accident every single way that, if that's a whole book about it, one thing led to another. But here I'm at, knowing that I'm going to go in finance industry. And while I'm when I'm getting a call about the huge modeling contract, I get a call from my attorney saying, I'm sorry, but I cannot get you a visa based upon your finance, even though you graduate magna cum laude, blah, 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 because you cannot have a visa if you're American can qualify a position. Obviously, it's not possible in finance career.
Right.
So always going to be somebody here who can qualify. So, and my modeling's like, absolutely, if you want to work with us, we get you the work visa, no problem at all, because you're the only one.
Right.
We can do it. That's how I started modeling. I got my green card as extraordinary talent.
That's nice.
So it's a really huge modeling career, but parallel to that, I always had a finance career.
So, Natalia, from the moment that the accident happened till the time that you walked this stage, how many years was the gap in between?
That was 4 years, exactly.
4 years.
Exactly the time it took me to, 1 year it took for rehab. I had to go back to Russia for rehabilitation, and I graduated all total in 3 years, so 4 years.
Okay, because what I noticed that you said that I wanted to prove that I could walk on that stage, and sometimes you want to prove something, or you want to do something, or you want to accomplish something. Mm-hmm. It's not overnight. No. A lot of people think it's overnight. So that took 4 years. Just that one decision for you took 4 years for you to be able to walk that stage. That's amazing that you kept that positiveness and all that, mentally being tough for 4 years. That's not easy.
Well, example, Jim Carrey, who we all know,
right.
When he was broken, he was starting the career, he would go to Mulholland Drive and he would visualize that he's going to be really that big famous actor, and then he wrote himself a check for $10 million, and then he gave himself a time frame of 3 years, and he carried it everywhere with him. And really 3 years after the time passed, he got the Diamond Dharma, and it was a $10 million contract. So it does work, and there's so many examples like that.
But you want to know what's so crazy? Even though that we have seen so many examples of it, mm-hmm. and we have literally seen it with our own eyes. It's not just like somebody talking, like the story you just mentioned, people could verify that. They could go see, he talked about it, other mm-hmm. people have talked about it. But sometimes we still have that little doubt. We're like, nah, it worked for him. It's not going to work for me. Mm-hmm. So the fact of the matter that we push a lot of individuals to Thinkandgrowrich, to think positive, the law of attraction does work. It's because of that. Because it does work, we just need to put the work through it. Okay, Natalia, I want to ask you about Thinkandgrowrich, mm-hmm. and how Thinkandgrowrich and Napoleon Hill's work, how you're implementing it. Well, my first question would be, how long ago did you get introduced to the book?
So I went most of my 20s. I went through a spiritual stage, and that's when I did majority of my reading. That's when I first read the Napoleon Hill, was probably around 2021. But when I was reading it, I realized that a lot of principles that got me out of my wheelchair and into completing the school, into winning the modeling contest, into the life that I was, because I was subconsciously utilizing some of the principles, and I was just so driven. For me, there was absolutely no way out. I had a very exact goal, and I had a vision, and I was always going an extra mile, no matter what it took, no matter how hard it was, no matter how much pain I was in, and no matter how much I didn't want to get up. So
I'll tell you, modeling is that hard?
No, I'm talking about recovery.
Recovery. I was like, modeling is it, because I don't know, and that's my question. So, is it hard?
Modeling is definitely not easy. So I can tell you, probably one of the reasons I became so successful in modeling, because I really didn't care about it.
Really?
So there was kind of a different aspect. What I was carrying, my ultimate goal was, I wanted to, for me, modeling was a way to be heard. So as modeling as itself, a fame and a fortune, I could care less about. But it was a channel for me to something much greater than modeling. So much greater than, how I look on the pages of magazines. For me, it was, I did majority of my modeling was books modeling, or participating in different events, working with many foundations, and just working with auctions. I remember like the night in Santa Barbara, And I was not supposed to be on the stage. It was a foreign guy came in. It was huge audience, black ties, and I just basically happened to be there. I stopped by, not even dressed appropriately. Instead of evening gown, I had pants, and I just decided, I just was backstage hanging out with the band, and I was like, I'm just gonna come in and announce them. And they said, sure, why not? And I walked in there, looked at everybody, and whatever the cause was, I remember what I said, how I said it, but I know the whole place got quiet. And people started applauding, and then the foreigner came in. It was just awesome. So that gave me a really good strength to believe that I do have an ability to be heard. I do have a way to, people to stop what they're doing. It's like, okay, and write the checks for the foundation or whatever I want them to do.
Whatever the cause
whatever
was.
the cause is exactly.
But do models go through that motivational stage? Like, do they need Think and Grow Rich?
I think, well, it depends what they want, because everything in Think and Grow Rich is what is your ultimate goal, what is your personal vision, right? If for some of them, it's like, I want to be on the cover of Vogue, and this is what I want to do, and I want to have, that's my goal.
What did you want to do? What was yours?
My goal was, number one, to get a green card through modeling.
Get a green card through modeling. But you got that. You got that a long time ago.
I got that. And I kind of after I got my green card, I switched the careers. I didn't really continue modeling after that. I continued doing the public appearances and speaking, but not necessarily print modeling, because that was my kind of goal to do it. But my suggestion, my advice to the girls is really, it takes a lot of perseverance, and you're going to get 100 no's before you get to say yes. So that's one thing that teaches you in life is every single no gets you closer to the next yes. Right. Never giving up, never getting discouraged. And I would say my motto, which I put the sticker in the car, my first car I got, which was no fear, because I realized that's number one factor that stops you in life is fear. And every single motivation thing is all about fear. So it's just
what were a couple of your biggest fears? What did you fear the most?
That I will not be able to. Well, my first fear was that I will not be able to have kids. That was the first question I asked when I was paralyzed and was starting to recover, when I would be able to have children. So I think.
But now you have two beautiful boys now.
Yeah, I do.
5 and 13.
Yes.
5 and 13.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I think that everything in my life kind of revolved around my children, and that was my most important thing besides every single session I made in my life. That how would it affect my children's life, because this is how I see where my legacy is with my children.
Did you ever want a daughter?
Yeah, well, I was sure I'm going to have one of each.
Okay, was that the plan? My wife always wanted a daughter, so we just got our daughter. So now it's such a relief. I'm like, okay, one down. But I want a boy, so that's what. So I get excited when you say you have two boys. Are they very protective of you?
Yes.
They are?
Oh yes.
They're very protective of them? That's fine. Are you gonna force them or push them or help them to get into modeling?
No. I mean, first of all, forcing and pushing and doing any of that does not work. You can only.
But a lot of moms and dads do that though.
I've been through the stage of trying to do it when I didn't like something. I fought with it, and it was absolutely the wrong thing to do, and I've learned it the hard way. And now I'll be a big proponent for all the moms that you cannot control your kids. You cannot. In a way, almost you cannot protect them, because you have to guide them towards, you have to let them make their mistakes, you have to let them sometimes hurt themselves so they can learn on their own and figure out what they want in life and support their passions, because you can't step on their shoes. You don't know what they want, and you think that 3-year-old doesn't know much. That's not true.
They know a lot. They know a lot. Yeah, a lot of people think that their kids are not as smart. The kids are very, very smart. They could figure things out. I always got surprised of how much they know, because I was talking to my wife, I'm like, I feel like my daughter, even though it's like 7 weeks old, she senses when I come home, when they're already sensing it at that age. I can only imagine how much they can sense when they're like 3 years old. So it's pretty cool. So out of all the principles in the Think and Grow Rich Napoleon Hill work, which one is your favorite principle?
It's a hard one, because they're all so.
What are the top two that you like the most?
I really believe in law of attraction. I really believe in visualizing, and not just, I can imagine everything and everything's just going to fall into place. It doesn't work this way, obviously. But I do believe if you really every single day visualize the certain things that, and you visualize them as they have already happened. And I was like, oh my God, I wish for this to happen. That's not going to do you any
vision
good.
is not going to make it.
Yes, so it has to be, you have to put yourself, like, just kind of like a stupid example, right? So right now, I have an injury and I cannot be really walking, so it's hard for me to move around. Just had a spinal surgery also 3 months ago, so going skiing right now is obviously out of the question for me.
No skiing, Natalia.
So plus, there are certain things, it's driving and, having my kids at the same time, getting 13. So I come up with so for me, my little success is in 2-3 months down the road, I visualize us being in the ski resort and me driving there and playing bowls and going skiing with my kids. So, and I visualize it.
Is that your favorite sport?
Well, it's just because it's winter and I want to take my kids skiing. My favorite is sailing.
Sailing.
Mm-hmm.
I've been on boats, I've been on yachts, but I've never gone sailing. How many people are in a sailboat?
It's going to be one.
It could be one.
Yeah.
Okay, that's crazy. Don't do that, okay? Don't do that. I always thought it was like a group of like 5-6 people that go sailing.
No.
I don't know. It's not my thing. The ocean going up and down. It's not, no. But you like skiing.
Yeah.
So right now
yeah.
you're visualizing yourself
Mm-hmm.
being healthy enough to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm. And the reason I bring it up right now is because you don't have to visualize, like of course I have a visualization of the grand scheme of thing, what I want to see, but life is about creating small steps to achieve to the goal. And you have to be very careful because if you have one goal, which I found for myself, which I actually Thinkandgrowrich helped me a lot with, is you have to break, okay, this is where I want to be, and what do I need to do to get to it? And you break it up into steps, then you break each step into smaller steps, and then you kind of visualize everyone beyond the way, and every day when you write your to-do list, you actually look back at your little step. I was like, does it fulfill or does it take me closer to my goal? And if you continue continuously in that moment, you will get where you want to go, but you have to stay focused, and focusing on something grand, a scheme of thing all the time is not possible. So it has to be really broken down in tiny little steps, like a baby steps. Baby's not going to be born and run around.
Well, I'm going to learn that very soon.
Yes, you will.
All right, Natalia, my other question is this. In the process of reading Think and Grow Rich,
Mm-hmm.
as an individual who's done entrepreneurship, modeling with finance background, how would you say it will work for us to break down our goals? Or how did you do it? How did you implement it? And how does that relate to our business? The reason why I ask this question is because a lot of entrepreneurs,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of individuals that want to get into business where they want to quit their 9 to 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or it doesn't mean they're dissatisfied. They're just there 9 to 5 making a living, but they do want to get something else extra on the side for
Mm-hmm.
their hobby, passion, or just a side income. What is your recommendation for those people?
So, number one recommendation is do not quit your job and for the time that you really know to get somewhere. So, being an entrepreneur is a lot of work.
Right.
It's especially if you're just starting out and you're in your early stage of your career, and it's advised to not to get into the family and the kids before you do it, but a lot of people do, and so it depends what the stage of life you are. But if you're by yourself, it's good to live very quietly. I know a lot of people know they actually just rent an office and they sleep on the couch just to focus on building this stuff. You want to continue some income streams because you do need money to start any kind of business. Right. And when you later on go to raise money, investors do look at, okay, how much did you personally put, what you choose to give up. So if you say, oh, I decided to do this, and give me some money for that, you're not going to go anywhere. It's really perseverance, having the vision, working hard, not wasting money, not wasting time, and really believing in what you do. When you feel like you're getting attraction, you feel like you cannot do both at the same time, that's the time to like, okay, this is the time for me to transition, and I'm going to say goodbye to my regular job, and I'm going to really focus on building it true. But before you know, and that's the hardest thing for entrepreneurs, is because we all have great ideas, but how realistic they are to implement.
Right.
So basically, if you look at the overall statistics, I would say less than 8% of all the ideas that are gets implemented. That's probably
right.
very actually more than reasonable, or less than reasonable number. So just make sure that you have enough money to survive and not go into the hole completely.
Right.
But if you have the family, it's a whole different story. I mean, you really have to work the
No,
nights
if you
or
have
something.
a wife, you have children, you definitely cannot take those type of risks. You should take risks, but I loved what you said. Do not quit your 9 to 5 till you really want to make that really hardcore leap of just going into your business full. But a lot of people think, okay, so my next question will be this. How much, when you said entrepreneurship takes a lot of time, what do you mean by that?
I believe that to be successful in entrepreneurship, first of all, your entrepreneurship is about creating an idea and making it work. Entrepreneurship is either saying what you ought to do and making it work by being better than themselves. Because if you want to do something mediocre, why you want to be an entrepreneur? So entrepreneurship is doing something greater than what's done and greater than yourself. It's a belief.
Right.
So that's why when you start a project, you spend hours in research, hours in seeing what other people do, every possible competitor, how it can be done better, marketing strategies, public relations strategies, finding out who the right people are. So just before you start doing any business, you're going to spend hundreds of hours just researching what your idea is.
Right.
So I mean, everything really takes a lot of time, and especially if you don't start with being a millionaire, you can spend a lot of money hiring the great people who can implement your idea. If you really, like most entrepreneurs, are struggling until you make it somewhere, you want to get most of the tool skills yourself until you get to the point that you can actually bring others on board. And how do you do it? By watching videos, by reading books, by doing the social media, by doing research. So can you do it in one day? No.
It takes time. So I'm going to put you on spot, Natalia. What's your goal for the next 5 years? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? The reason why I asked that question is because I'm curious, number one. Number two, I see you putting a lot of content, more and more, for entrepreneurs on your social media. I saw the video on your time management on your Instagram. I loved it. I thought that you should do a lot more. I was like, I would listen to her because you broke it down very, very easily for a lot of people. And it was only for 1 minute. And I loved it. You got the message across in 1 minute. Imagine if I can watch 5 of those videos. So now I can, I can start listening to an expert who has done it, and literally will take me 5 minutes to start learning or beginning to learn those skill sets that's gonna help me in my business. And I don't have to spend hours upon hours. 5 minutes with Natalia, I understand like time management, how I'm supposed to do that. So what did you go for the next 5 years? Where do you see yourself?
Thanks. It's a great question, and I have a very good vision. So for me, going through recovery time to ups and downs, then channeling my modeling career into entrepreneurship career, from moving from Los Angeles to New York, investing in real estate, selling off real estate, going through marriage, having a sick child, horrible divorce. So I mean, my life been through like making millions, losing millions, going under the water. So I've seen so much of cycle.
So what is your secret when you go through that? Because that's a whole lot.
Yeah.
Recovery and everything. I mean, people, that's a big deal. Being paralyzed and doctors telling you only got 3. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, we got to do a video on that for sure. But what is your secret of staying positive when you go through the downs?
And trust me, I've up to my divorce, I went into depression, and so it's not like I popped up. But during the time I was getting worse and worse, that's the time when I actually realized a lot more things, and that's the time I forgot my principles, and I forgot the fact that I was reading my books and I was staying positive. I was having a couple more drinks than I should have, and I was a single mom, being basically on the street with my 2 kids, just surviving. And then I was like, what, I have to pull myself together. And what helped me at that moment is that, okay, I did it before, I can do it again. So, and I remembered my stupid sticker, no fear, in my car, because everything was coming from here. How I'm going to survive, how I'm going to manage, I'm a single mom. I just did not work because I was fighting for my baby's life. Now, like, I'm completely on my own. So, and I just pulled myself together, and I was like, no fear, take a deep breath, get up and go. That's a moment, because before you realize that your brain starts talking you into depression, because it's all, it's neurons, they have to stay at work. So it's like, no fear, you trigger yourself in the positive emotion. It's several seconds, you get up and go and start doing things. And that was kind of the moment, but it took me a while, and that's why realizing now that the stuff is behind me and what I had to go through get to where I'm at right now, everything is like knock on wood. So I realized that all the tools and going back to the books, going back to what I was challenged before, I have so much to share because I know so many people that are struggling and they cannot get up, and they cannot fight through their divorce. They don't know how to deal with the kids programs, with the different my little one is an IP program, and how do you manage all of that? So my goal there was to create a kind of a program that I can share a platform that I can share my personal experience, and I can have people come to me. And I'm still working, on creating it, but that's my vision in 5 years is basically to be more of a motivational speaker. And the vision that I see is really being on the big stage and, people getting up to applaud because I'm there to change their lives. So that's my vision for 5 years.
And I think the fact that you said that, I think you're going to be able to inspire a lot of single moms. Mm-hmm. And that becomes, I know it's going to be a long answer, but I just want a one-word answer. Were you more creative when you were married or when you were a single mom? The creative side is kicking in. I feel like right now you're like, I need to do this thing because I got 2 sons. I want to set the right example and I'm going to make it happen, do or die. Is that did the creative side just kick in?
No, I would say if I had to choose the boat, I was always much more analytical. But I love creativity, so I kind of use both my brains pretty equally. But I use logic in everything I do too.